Hello, marry me. So I thought I would make another video when I first were dressed up for my weekly support group meeting. Go out every, is it Tuesday, it's named in English, but anyway, this day a week. And have lunch with friends who also have similar issues as myself. Anyway, so I decided I would discuss another topic. And the topic I want to discuss is the claim that so many Christians, especially Christian conservatives, Christian fundamentalists, have that Christians are somehow prosecuted in is it prosecuted or persecuted? It's persecuted, isn't it? Yeah, persecuted within modern Western society. And that claim sort of irks me a bit because, quite frankly, Christians still have so much power. And very often what they are talking about is that their power has gone down just a smidgen, so they cannot persecute others just as much without any consequences, and they call that persecution of them. That's not how it works. Here's the thing. Persecution is when you discriminate against somebody or treat others badly because of their race, gender, religion, sexuality, and so on and so forth. That is persecution. That you are not able to persecute others as effectively as before, that's not persecution. Now, before I start, let me just make it clear I'm not talking about all Christians here, because, quite frankly, the majority of Christians are pretty nice people. They say live and let live and believe what they believe and let others believe what they believe, and they're great people. However, there are a small group of those that are fundamentalists who, yeah, I mean, they'll have to be allowed to believe what they want. And I'm not going to judge anybody's spiritual path, but it irks me when they say they're persecuted. Here's the thing. One of the things that very often come up is that, oh no, we are persecuted because some store owners say that you should say Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas. Here's the thing, they're not saying that when you are on your own private time, that you cannot say Merry Christmas. But there's so many religions that celebrate around the time of the winter solstice. You have a Jewish holiday around there, you have a Muslim holiday around there, you have a pagan holiday around there, a Christian holiday around there, and quite frankly, quite a few atheists who have grown up in the Western culture also celebrate around that time. Therefore, if I owned a store, I would likely have some policy of saying happy holidays too, because I would not want to alienate customers who are not Christian. That is not persecution. That is not saying you cannot celebrate Christmas any way you want. It is not saying you cannot. It's saying that when you sit in the till of my store, you have to address things in a religion neutral way. And for the Christians, it's a holiday. One can argue whatever or not it's a good idea when it comes to free speech, but it's not persecution. It's, for me, I think that if an employee then said, no, I definitely want to say Merry Christmas, I would say by all means, go ahead. But, a business is there to earn money. It's the same that if I would have a problem with one of my employers wearing t-shirts with a strong political message, for example, because I would not want to alienate customers from different political views. If you're running a store, you don't want to alienate customers. If, however, they had said, no, on your private time, you cannot celebrate Christmas, you cannot basically you have to behave in a way that goes against your religious beliefs. That would be something else. But saying happy holidays does not go against Christian beliefs. Another thing that many Christians say that, see, we are so persecuted, is when you see, for example, Hollywood have less things about conservative Christians and more things about, well, everybody else. But here's the thing. Hollywood isn't political. Hollywood isn't religious. Hollywood's religion is the money. It's what sells. So basically, Christians show proof. They, for example, show a picture of Miley Cyrus twerking. Is that the right word? Anyway, rubbing her butt against people. And then they show a family of Christians saying grace over that table. Here's the thing. It sells more to show it basically a sexy woman dancing provocatively sells more than seeing our family praying. It has nothing to do with hating Christianity or wanting Christianity to go away. This sells more. And the same thing is, why is it okay to see somebody twerk, but not okay that these people in Duck Dynasty pray? Well, it's not that they're praying that's the issue. The issue is that they had a lot of very negative things to say about homosexuals. And Hollywood's main paying audience, I'm not saying the only audience, because everybody watches movies and TV shows and so on and so forth, but the main, basically TV and all of that, and they're not just Hollywood, but basically the TV and movie and entertainment industry, their main focus are people aged 15 to 35. And while there are quite a few conservative Christians in the world, the number of people between 15 and 35 who are tolerant of people who are homosexual is very, very high. So that's the point. It's not that, oh no, we don't want these Christian ideas. It's that after members of that show had made had said their piece, the ratings for the show dropped, and as the rating for the show drops, whatever network is sending it aren't earning money, and so they do something about it. This isn't persecution. It would be the same as me saying, oh, if I sell pendants with the goddess symbol and they're not selling well, that's persecution of my pagan beliefs. It has to do with what's popular. That isn't persecution. That is what irks me a little bit. These people have no idea what persecution is. Here's the point. I am a bisexual, fat, pagan woman. I mean, I've been extremely lucky. I have 4 things that a lot of people get discriminated for, and I've experienced very little discrimination. But I know quite a few people that are in the same categories. And here are the thing. Being sent away from a restaurant because your date is of the same sex, that's persecution. Being afraid to admit your faith because you're afraid you'll lose your job. Because somebody uses that against you. Somebody saying you're Wiccan. You can't work here because you're a Satanist. That's persecution. Being called ugly names when you go to the street, being pushed off buses, having 40% of the doctors in a nation say that I wish they could put you furthest down on the waiting line to get treatment because you're overweight. That's persecution. Or for people who are of different skin tones and so on, being called names, not getting jobs, and so on because of their race or their religion and so on. That's persecution. That the popular culture and popular entertainment will rather see a sexy dancing woman than middle-aged men praying. That's not persecution. Now, are there a group of fundamentalist atheists? I'm sure somebody will go ballistic on me for that because some people think that no, atheist, you can't be fundamentalist with that. Oh, fuck, you can. You can definitely be fundamentalist with that. And you have quite a few people who are not referring to themselves as atheists, but anti-theists. And they are actively against religion. Do they look poorly on Christianity and might say something, and if they should happen to become extremely powerful, could they create problems for all of us who are religious? Yeah, they could. However, they are in a very, very small minority. So, that's not... They are not in a position to persecute anyone. They are in a position to throw some mean remarks on the internet. They're not in a position to basically stop you from having a job and so on and so forth. Here's their point. I know pagans who have lost their job because they are pagan, who have been completely shut off from their family. Their family want nothing more to do with them because they're pagan. That have had child, so basically those that protect children, services called on them because they are pagan. And that have had the fact that they are pagan brought up in when it comes to parental rights, trials, and so on and so forth. Show me one Christian where the fact that they are Christian has made them risk losing their children. Basically, these Christians that claim that, oh no, Christians are this extremely persecuted group, they do not walk on the same planet as the rest of us. Now, like I said, I'm not bashing Christians in general, because most Christians don't claim this. Most Christians have eyes and can see that. I mean, let's look at the United States. Well, at least all in modern time presidents have been Christian. At least publicly. You think you could get a Muslim or pagan or Hindu president? No, not the way it is now. Christians have an extremely powerful lobbying, and they managed to, in several states, they made it almost impossible to get an abortion. They have, in a few states, they have made laws that makes it legal to discriminate against the gays and lesbians. I mean, there's such a powerful group. They are not prosecuted against it. What they often complain about is that, oh well, a reason that we are prosecuted against is that some schools refuse to teach creationism. But here's the thing. There's no problem if you believe in creationism. Just like it's no problem to believe that any, basically, creation myth. But there's a lot of religions with a lot of different creation myths. And it becomes wrong if a school system should say, that religion, that's the one that's correct. Instead, the educational system of a nation have to look at what is scientifically provable. What we have proof for, or at least very, very strong indications for, is evolution. No, by all means. For example, I believe that the gods have guided evolution. So, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it is interesting that, the Bible says that the world is about um, 5,000 years or so, while in reality it's about 5 billion. And the word used in the Bible is really is cycle, so it could be any time. There's a lot of interesting things that you can look at it, but here's the point: school is not responsible for teaching children religion. It is not prosecuting to say, no, we will teach science, not religion. What would be prosecution is saying, no, you can't teach your children religion at home. Or you are not allowed to be Christian, or oh, you're a Christian, you're gonna lose your job for it. That would be persecution. Basically saying Christians have no right to have their views presented as truth in school. That's not persecution. Again and again I hear what's persecution? Well, it's basically, oh, but I can't discriminate against gays if I want. Oh, but other religions are allowed to pray in my school. Oh, but they had some Muslim children, and they were allowed to eat. They were allowed to eat the food that's allowed in their religion in school, or all of these things that are basically I can't discriminate as much as I want. That's not persecution. That would be the same as saying that when slavery was abolished in the United States, that was persecuting whites because they could no longer own black people. That's not persecution. Persecution is preventing you from practicing your faith, or discriminating against you for who and what you are. It is not preventing you from discriminating against others. Basically, if somebody refuses you being Christian, basically say you might not go to church. If you're Christian and we find out you'll lose your job, you'll have social services called on you and so on, that's persecution. Saying that, no, you are not allowed to burn me on the stake because I'm a witch, because that's in the Bible. That's not persecution. That's just preventing you from persecuting me. Basically, your rights ends at your doorstep. You have no right to force your religion on others. Now, like I said, are there a movement of atheists that are against all religion, and I have made attempts to prevent people from being religious? Yes, there are. However, they are in such a weak group that they can't persecute anyone. All they can do is write nasty comments. But of course, if they grow more powerful, then we might talk about being worried. All of us that have a religious belief. As it is now, Christians are not persecuted. That there might be somebody who has a mean comment, it's not persecution. That you cannot basically discriminate against others, that your faith does not tolerate, is not persecution. And that Hollywood and other people that or other areas and companies and so on that provides entertainment go at what's popular rather than providing whatever your religion feel is appropriate is not persecution. Persecution is when, well, like I said, when people try to take your kids away because you practice your religion, when people try to take your job away because you practice your religion, when you lose your house because people don't want to rent out housing for you because of your religion, when doctors don't want to see you because of that, when you're chased out of restaurants, when you're attacked physically because of your whatever your religious belief, your color of your skin, your sexuality, and so on, that's persecution. That you say that your employer wants you to say happy holidays, to not alienate non-Christian customers, is not persecution. That's exactly the same as saying, well, of course you have the freedom of speech, but you're not allowed to wear a vote for such and such person for president t-shirt when you're working at my store because I also want to serve the other side. Which is not persecution, it is your employer saying, well, I want to earn money, I want to make all my customers happy. So no, Christians are not persecuted. And if you're a Christian and you're watching this video and you get terribly upset about this, try being black. Try being pagan in a Christian, in the area where people are mostly Christian. Try being gay. Try being fat. Try being a Muslim. Try being any of these things. And then get back to me about persecution. And again, I'm not talking about all Christians here, but the conservatives that talk about Christians being so persecuted. Because you're not. You're completely free to practice your religion as you wish. Nobody is gonna not hire you because you're Christian. But yeah, if a couple comes into the store you work in and they happen to be two girls and they want to buy a carton of milk and a box of cookies, you cannot say, no, I won't serve you because I don't agree with your sexuality. Well, in most places you can't because, oh, I forgot, in some areas of the United States at least, your side has made it that you're able to do so. That you are able to prosecute others. But you still claim that you're prosecuted. Now, before I run out of this video that's turning to be way too long, we can discuss why would Christians claim they're persecuted all the time. I think it has to do with A, not realizing what they're talking about. I mean, it's very typical when, for example, you can have somebody who is rich and then they end up in a situation where they have a little bit less money than they had before and they complain that they're poor. Well, they've never ever been in the situation where they have to wonder, will I be able to eat today? So what they see as poor might be that they have to go into a regular clothes store and buy the clothes there rather than having them tailor-made. The other is that feeling like the persecuted group gives a sense of community. It feeds into fear-mongering, and fear-mongering sort of builds a community. It's, oh, poor us, look at how horrible they are to us. That gives a sort of community. And I think that that's part of the motivation. And besides, like I said, fear-mongering around, oh, but they are going to persecute us. Look, we have to actually sell a carton of milk and a box of cookies to some lesbians. They are coming to toss us to the lions. That sort of fear-mongering works. It's the same idiocy when they say, oh no, look at Obama, he's a Muslim, he's going to bring Sharia law to the United States. No. I mean, you can agree or not agree with Obama's politics. I think he's done a lot of questionable things. But Muslim, no, he isn't. Absolutely no indication that he's Muslim, and even if he was, he is not after bringing Sharia law to the United States. The people gobble it up, num 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 num, because that sort of fearmongering builds community, and when you are extremely conservative, that sort of community is good for you. But yeah, please stop it. Just read up about what actual persecution is before you claim that you are. Because in almost all Western nations, Christians have an extremely powerful position. They are not a persecuted group. That is what I wanted to say. I apologize if I have insulted anyone with this video, but it is my feelings about this. Have a great day, and blessed be.